I'm Kaitlyn Bristowe. Your session is now starting.
Grape Therapy.
Welcome to the...
Should we tell everybody what happened? I feel like it actually cut out at the perfect time. So we were recording our podcast last whatever week it was, and I felt so proud of myself because I set it up all by myself. There's a new software on my computer. I don't have an assistant anymore. And I was just like, I can do this. And then I'm going to send the recording and it's like camera overheated. And I was like, what?
Why doesn't it tell you, make a sound when it goes
It should be
off?
like a warning. Like, who doesn't have a podcast right now? These cameras should be telling us. Yeah. God. So welcome back to part 2 of Grape Therapy. I honestly have been actually taking some time off social media because it's just so devastating. Is your family okay?
Yes, so my family is in I grew up in an area called La Cañada Flint Ridge, which is this little part of, that's where my mom lives now, of Pasadena. My sister's in Pasadena, my younger brother's in Pasadena, my nieces and nephews, they're all evacuated. And they haven't gone back yet, but they're kind of keeping the fire from their house. But I mean, it is so devastating. And that's why I had to go off social media, because I was watching people talk in the comments, because I was checking videos to see if I could get glimpses of what parts of town were on fire, to see what I could recognize. But then I'd kind of go into the comments and see what people were saying. Oh my gosh. It's the most insane thing in the world. It made me so sick that I had to stop looking at Instagram.
Same. I was like, I don't want to be ignorant of what's happening. So I wanted to be informed. But then I was like, it is I'm going to be informed no matter what. If I turn on the news, if I open social media, I'll know what's going on. But I'm like, I cannot keep scrolling, seeing comments, seeing how people are treating this. People are talking about how people are just rich and it's fine because they can buy new. And I'm like, that is the grossest mentality I've ever heard.
That in itself is a gross thing. I'm not saying I understand it, but I get where somebody could kind of say that, not realizing what they're saying. But beyond that, what people don't realize is I grew up in Southern California, born and raised. My dad grew up in the town that I grew up in, went to my same high school. People don't realize that California is a blue collar state. There's a lot of people who, don't have a lot of money. A lot of people, and California's progressively gotten more and more expensive, right? Yeah. So the area that I grew up in now is insane. A lot of celebrities are moving there because it's outside of Hollywood, but it's a real family community. So the prices are insane, right? But everyone I grew up with, all of my friends' parents' house was handed down to them from their grandparents. People bought their house in the 60s, and that is their money. Yeah. So when they have to go to rebuild that house, first of all, they don't have the money to rebuild it. And so all these people are going to be displaced, have to go to different places. People moved to the town that I grew up in for the school district. So all those people, their kids are going to have to go to new schools. Yeah. They're not going to afford to get back into the town. It's devastating.
Who would have thought that everybody's kind of coming together for Spencer Pratt and Heidi?
It's so beautiful. I think there's so many deep layers if you really start to read into it. I think that America just wants to celebrate something. Yeah. Think about it. We're constantly getting trash thrown in our face, right? Even people who wanted President Trump to win, they didn't even get to celebrate because everybody else was dogging on it. Right. We're just, everything is about anger and this sucks and this sucks and I hate this. That it took Spencer and Heidi losing their house for all of us to rally together. Yep. And I think, everyone always is saying or they're saying right now, they're still rich and they're still famous. First of all, they're not rich. No. They're not at all. But I think they also kind of, to a lot of people who've grown up with them, they kind of resemble what we see as a normal person. Yeah. They were on a reality show and they have fame from that. But it's people we can relate to kind of, and it's a devastating story and we just want to cheer.
I also think whoever doubted them in the past, they're one of the most solid relationships out there.
That's the thing.
He is so supportive of her. She loves him. They just honestly have been through so much together. And now they've lost the house that they raised children in. And her music 15 years later, I remember them sitting on my podcast in 2017 talking about how they lost all their money putting it into Heidi's music. Yeah. Millions and millions of dollars because they thought it was going to be the next big thing. And so to have that happen, however many years later, I think it's 15, they were talking about it in 2017, but it was in 2010, 11, 12 or something. So for them to now be celebrating her record being number one, that's such a big win for
It's
them.
so
And I feel
incredible.
like it's making the internet come together as a positive community
Totally.
and rooting for other people. And it's just so, and
Yeah.
I'm like, and her music is fire.
It's good. It's really,
fire.
really good.
I know. I'm so
It's really
like
good.
happy for them.
It's funny because a lot of people, you know, because I have the connection to Kristen and then they were on the hills and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So when I was posting about loving them, and I've loved them for so long,
Me
you know, it
too.
didn't even take this. I've always just been a super fan of theirs.
Yeah.
But people would message me like, how could you like Spencer? Like he was horrible on the hills, whatever. I'm like, first of all, it was scripted. Everyone knows that at this point.
yeah. How do
right?
we not know that at this point?
And then people will still try to say that, I guess, like, I didn't watch The Hills thoroughly, but like, they were like, he was so mean to Heidi on. I'm like, you guys, it's 15 years later almost, and they're still together. They're like the most solid reality TV couple
ever seen.
that we've ever seen,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like they're doing something right. Like the love is in that family.
They have more love than I've seen it in person. I like ended up being friends with them and like going to their house, the house that isn't there anymore. Like Spencer's trying to get me over my fear of birds with the hummingbirds. Like,
Oh, right.
I love them. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I feel like finally they're getting like credit that they deserve.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's like, it was a scripted show. Spencer went on Call Her Daddy podcast and literally he like stood up and walked out and made a scene just to show how editing can make someone believe something about you.
And if you really pay attention to Spencer, he's f***ing brilliant.
He's
like the guy is so
brilliant.
smart.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
They both did.
Yeah.
And they loved it.
Yeah, they made really good TV. They know what they were doing. But then even beyond that, like if you pay attention to the things that Spencer like talks about, like he's really smart and he's like a deep thinker. He pays attention to people and things that are going on.
Yeah.
Like he's just really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And he's a great dad.
He is. They're a great family. I think it's so, I just love that that's like the beauty out of, you know, I'm trying to find the silver linings of like communities coming together, people really like helping others, everything that's going on. And I'm like, who would have thought?
Yeah.
Spencer and Heidi
We
bringing
needed
the
this,
people
though.
together.
Like we needed something to cheer about.
Thank you for the win, Spencer and Heidi. Okay, so we were picking up where we left off. We took calls and we're answering questions, and then my stupid podcast, my new podcast camera cut out.
Oh, I
So-
forgot we did that and they were so good.
Yeah,
They were so
now,
thoughtful.
and now I have their voice.
No way.
Yeah, so they're gonna ask questions through here.
Oh, I love this.
I know, me too. So it's
I
all-
totally forgot when we did this. Okay,
I
good.
appreciate you coming back too, because
Yeah.
I was like a dog with my tail between my legs, like, my podcast didn't work. Can you come back? It's like, thank God it was you. Okay, so our first caller.
Hi, Kaitlyn. My name's Faith, and first of all, I love you. And second of all, I turned 30 this coming July, which I'm really excited about. But I wanted to get some encouragement or advice on a decision that my husband and I made this past summer, which was to not have children. We came to that decision for a plethora of reasons, but it's been on my mind and my heart since college, and we officially decided that we do not want kids. My husband's in the military, so we get moved around a lot. I just don't want the instability for a child, and I'm also a teacher of young kids, so I don't want that to be my whole life. I want to be a really good auntie, so just some encouragement and advice on that topic would be awesome. Thanks, Kaitlyn. Love you lots.
Okay, first of all, thank you for your service to your husband.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's so, yeah.
And she's a teacher. I'm like, oh, so you have two heroes
Yeah, exactly.
in one household?
I
Got
love
it.
them.
Wow.
Yeah. And she
her
sounds
name's
sexy.
Faith.
She sounds hot.
She's a sexy Faith.
Yeah.
She's a teacher, and her husband's in the military. I just like with this topic specifically, especially if like that's what works best for you too. I'm like, why do people get so fired up about people not wanting kids?
People really do, you know. I think a lot of it, I think a lot of times is religion too. Like I grew up in the Mormon world where
yeah.
everything is about like have as many kids as you can or whatever. But maybe it's not that. But yeah, there's a lot of pressure to have kids. But I think it's so, and just hear me out on this. I really admire people who can just admit to that.
Same.
And I also think that we need to remember that people who admit to that, like, because I'm sure she'd be a great mom if she ended up having a kid, but there's also
Yeah.
a lot of people who have kids that shouldn't. So it's
Right.
like, it's such a big conversation. I'm in a gay relationship. People ask us all the time if we want to have kids, and we'd be really good dads and we
You'd be
have the life
amazing.
to do it and stuff. But I really want to be the most incredible uncle ever.
Yeah.
Like, and I remember when I was a kid, I remember like I would have uncles for some reason, my uncles, I was obsessed with my uncles, but they like had so much fun with us when we were younger. But then once they had their own kids, it was like we were chopped liver all of a sudden. And it stood out to me so much, you know?
Yeah.
And so like, as I've gotten older, I'm like, I want to be like this constant uncle. So her saying like the aunt thing, it's a real thing. Like,
It is a real thing.
We want to have community. We want to be there for the people that we love. I don't think that everyone has to have kids. And the world's way different than it was 30 years ago. It's so expensive.
Scary.
Those two jobs, I mean, there's things you have to think about. Is traveling a priority? Do you want to help pitch in for your nieces and nephews? Whatever it is, I don't think that people should feel bad about that decision.
Well, we're only feeling bad because of how other people make us feel. So I would say read Mel Robbins' book. Let them. Because we're only feeling a certain way about it is because other people are trying to make us feel a certain way.
Wait, can I ask you something? Maybe you don't want to answer this on a podcast, but why do you think people care if other people don't have kids? Like that's something like I couldn't even think of I tried to say the religion thing, but I'm like, not really, because that has nothing to do with you. I think the
people they might be the ones that like really want it in their life and maybe they're struggling.
Oh, well, that makes sense to me. But
that makes sense.
But then you wouldn't put the judgment onto somebody else. You'd kind of be like, maybe in your own head, like, oh, I don't know why, whatever. But I think when you see people who are like angry, like, oh, they're childless. Like, like Jennifer Aniston, client of mine and friend of mine forever. And the things people say about her because she doesn't have kids. And I'm like, do you know, I don't want to go into any details, but like Jennifer is the best person to her friends' kids, you know, and like, I don't know. Chelsea Handler, the same thing. Chelsea's a really good friend of mine. And Chelsea is the best aunt you've ever seen. And her friends who have kids, like she is literally there for them. Like will take any phone call. It's like, you can still be an amazing adult figure or whatever. I just don't understand it.
I wonder if that will change over the next like 10 years. So the people who are struggling with this thought right now, like in 10 years, they'll be like, finally, like it's starting to become accepted, because I don't think people have really talked about that, where our parents' generation, it was kind of like, ready or not, that's your next step.
Yeah.
You know, like everything has kind of been laid out for that generation where it's like, you're born, you go to school, you go to college, you get married, you have children, it's like all very set up.
So it's like a built-in kind of traditional thing too. Like, I think that's probably more what it is.
Yeah.
Is people are coming
now
from like,
people are just like, I think a lot of people are angry too that like, we just all get to go on the internet if we want and make some money, do our own thing. And like, they're like, no, this is how society should be.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's where I think it all comes from. Or like maybe if I have to do it, or if I'm stressed out with my kids, you have to too. Could that be there too?
I'm sure there's a lot of layers.
Because I don't know. I think we talked about this already. I just don't understand comparing my life to anybody else.
Yeah.
I just think it's such a waste of time. But there is a lot of judgment with the kids thing. I've noticed that a lot.
I think, and I was telling one of my friends this morning, she has the means to not work, but she loves what she does. But she's like, but I also want to go stay home with my kids. And she's like trying to figure out. And I was like, if you don't have to work, like, what is making you feel like you need to? If you actually would make you a better mom to be home and to be happy and picking them up every day and drop, like if that's what you thrive to do, like that is so acceptable. If you have the means. Is that more what
she wants to do?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And of course it got down to, well, I'm worried that other people will think I'm just free riding, or I'm like, that's your husband and your family. Like the wrong people might think that. But
that's the opposite of the judgment that we're talking about not having kids, like people judging women who want to stay home and be a mom at this point. I'm also all for, I love trad wives. I think it's an amazing thing. I know that people talk.
What is it?
A trad wife. So it's like, you know who Ballerina Farm is on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay, so people are trying to rip her apart, being like, you're trying to set women back or whatever. I'm like, no, she's not. She enjoys her life. She loves it.
She loves it.
My sister is a trad wife. My sister loves to be a mom.
Yeah.
Her whole world changed when she had kids or whatever. And I think that is the most beautiful thing ever. But vice versa, if you want to be a working mom, you want to go to work every day, because that fulfills.
That too.
Yeah. So people are just going to judge no matter what.
I'm going to quote Bart Simpson.
What?
Remember when he said, "You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't"? I feel like he said that in I used to have a Bart Simpson song, like a CD.
Oh my gosh, I played
this?
the shit out of that CD.
And he's like, well, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
That whole
Okay, you should love your hair, but I know it's tough when you're dealing with thinning and shedding. I know from experience. So that's why I'm always excited to talk about Nutrafol, the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand. Their whole body approach targets the root causes of thinning hair, stress, hormones, nutrition, and more, helping you grow healthier, stronger strands from within. I've been using Nutrafol for years and years, and I've just really noticed a difference. My hair just feels thicker, it feels stronger, much less shedding, and it really is such a confidence booster when you have that good hair day. Helps me anyways. So whether you're postpartum, navigating menopause, or just need extra support, Nutrafol has formula tailored to your needs. Plus, in a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months. And their supplements are 100% drug-free, made with science-backed ingredients that you can trust. So start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol for a limited time. Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code VINE. So find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. That's spelled Nutrafol.com. Promo code VINE, Nutrafol.com, promo code VINE. Okay, after the holiday hustle, it's a great way to describe it. There's nothing better than giving your home a little TLC. Whether you need to tidy up, you're clearing things out, or just looking for a fresh start of the new year, Wayfair has everything that you need all within your budget. Now, I recently revamped some space and Wayfair was my go-to. I used some of their amazing decor to refresh my podcast studio, like a few stylish accent pieces and functional furniture. It really brought certain spaces in my house to life. I also gave my backyard a little love. New cushions, new beautiful outdoor rug. It's the perfect spot to unwind and entertain, even though it's a little cold, but I can't wait to get out there again. Wayfair has a massive selection for every space, whether it's furniture, storage solutions, or spring decor. Plus, it's all super easy to shop for, no matter your budget. So give your home the refresh it needs with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Okay, I hope we helped Faith, because I feel like you shouldn't feel judged, but I understand that you do.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, imagine you made that decision to please other people. I'm going to have a child because that's what people think I should do.
I mean, that's the answer right there.
That's the answer right there. Okay, next one.
Hi, Kaitlyn. Huge fan.
Where's the ones for Justin?
And I have a decision that I'm struggling with regarding a long-term friendship.
Oh.
Sparing many details, here's the quick backdrop. We've been friends since kindergarten, and she is part of a core group of friends that I still have from growing up.
Just had this
Over
conversation.
the last few years, she's become very distant to the group. She did go through a tough breakup, but we were all there for her throughout all of it. I'm getting married soon, and I've invited this group to get ready with me the morning of my wedding. 6 months ago, I included her in that invitation. Since then, she's made the choice to not attend my bachelorette, but attend another friend's, made plans with me, and then bailed 2 hours beforehand, and then this past weekend flew out of the country to visit a guy who she hasn't seen in years. All this to say, I feel as though the friendship is not valued or cared for on her end, and she never asks how I'm doing or how wedding planning is going, etc. I don't want to include her in the morning of my wedding anymore, but I also don't want a lot of drama. I'm thinking of not following up with her about the plans, and if she asks, I will tell her I'm happy she'll be at my wedding, but with the distance and not seeing her in 1.5 years, I altered my plans. Is this the right approach? Should I go about it a different way?
I do think not following up is the right move, because it doesn't sound like that girl wants to be a part of it anyways. But I would also ask,
I take this so seriously because I take my friendship so seriously. That's why I'm like overthinking this one.
I know.
And it's so bizarre to me because I think that friendships you can grow out of them. Some of my best friends, I have my best friends from kindergarten still. Yeah. Like last night I was texting one of my best guy friends from like kindergarten all the way through, but there's definitely people who kind of phased out of my life.
Yeah.
And I've never, if people don't try with me, it can phase and I have no problem.
Yeah.
But with that one, I mean, if she is a good friend up until you're getting married, do you need to have a conversation? Like, why are you getting distant now that I'm getting married? Is this about me being married?
That's what I was going to say,
like, that would be worth the conversation.
Like, what is the underlying issue? Yeah. Because it sounds like if a friend is just all of a sudden, like if you're friends with her since kindergarten and all over the years, they've become distant, unresponsive, or flaky, it's like, is there a reason, or is she just trying to slowly remove herself? And again, it always goes back to like an honest conversation. Like, hey, is there a reason you're being like this? Have I done something to hurt you? If I have, I'd like to be aware of it so we can talk through it. If not, like totally understand going our separate ways. I just think it's so powerful to just have honest conversations.
Yeah, have honest conversations and not feel bad if it's like that friend isn't a really good friend. Like you said, you don't want them in all the pictures or whatever. I don't know. It's funny too, as I get older, it's like my group just gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah, same.
And like the amount of people that I actually talk to on a weekly basis is so much smaller.
Yeah.
I don't hate anyone from my past. We just kind of have phased out. And that happens in life. I mean, I don't know what her age is, but I assume she's younger than I am. But like as you get older, it just gets smaller and smaller.
Especially, it depends if you're like still in your same hometown that you grew up in and have the
Right.
same friends, or if you've gone off and done different things or what they're like. I would like to know their age and where they live and
Yeah.
if they're like in the same town. But I did a dance class yesterday and we were having this conversation about like friendship groups getting smaller. And I'm like, I think a lot of people feel pressure that, well, since you've been friends since kindergarten, you have to maintain this friendship. And it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah. And there's also no way you can keep up with that. Want to know something so funny? One of like my main reasons for wanting to leave LA and move to Nashville is because I wanted to downsize my life. Because
Totally.
with what I did for work, my life was so social. So every week I would have
Yeah.
a birthday party or a dinner party or like some sort of event or whatever. And like you get sick of saying no over and
Yeah.
over. And I was kind of like, I just want to remove myself
Yeah.
from the situation and slow down my life. And I think that people, so I can imagine if you still live in your same hometown, you have all those friends that you grew up with, like, it is so hard to keep up with people as you
Yeah.
get older and the busier we get and we're tired.
Yeah.
Someone asked me to go out on a Tuesday night. No way. Like I would barely do that for like anybody, you know, and I'd more
know.
like come over and watch a movie at the house or whatever. But like, I know this is deeper because it's the wedding and everything, but like you
Yeah.
were saying, sit down and have an honest conversation. Like, dude, what's
Because it
up?
might be deeper for her too.
Yeah.
And maybe you can get somewhere, like no matter what happens, you can probably get some sort of either closure or understanding of why, because she might be going through some shit if she's
Right.
taking off and being flaky. Like usually something deeper is going on with people when they change.
Totally,
You know?
yeah.
So maybe it's, I mean, I know it's the wedding, so it is about you. But I mean, yeah, it's your wedding. Figure it out with your friend. Okay. At first I was like, yeah, just don't follow up. But now I'm like, no follow up.
Yeah, because it depends. If it is a really good friend, I mean, you want to know. Because also, you can't just not have your good friend
Yeah.
at your wedding. And if it is something that's easily fixable.
Yes, easily
could-
fixable. That is a tough one. That's a tough one.
If you could fix it, it'd be such a bummer to not fix it before your
Right,
wedding. You
right.
know, it's like you would want to. So have the deep conversation, get to the bottom of it. Yeah.
Aw, she sounded so sweet.
They both sound so sweet.
I know. Okay, well, let's see if the third one's sweet.
She's like, "You
We're like,
guys."
yeah, we're like, who vetted this person and why is she on my podcast? Okay, Beth.
I've been divorced for about 2 months now, but separated for about a year. I've secretly been dating someone since, well, before I left. My now ex-husband. I won't get into the details of that, but we seriously started dating once my ex-husband and I split. I kind of kept it a secret until
Now?
maybe about April or May of last year, and finally told friends and family I was seeing someone. Anyway, I've known this man for about 2 years now. He's wonderful. He treats me so well. He is loving and kind. He's obsessed with me in a good way, and he's really good to my kids. Anyways, this is where it gets spicy.
Oh.
We went to
was already
Vegas
spicy.
over New Year's, and we got married. Yep, I got married, and I've only been divorced for 2 months.
Okay.
Everyone sort of knows. There's a few people who don't. And they all think I'm crazy. They think that we rushed into it, yada, yada, yada. But they don't know the truth that I have known this man for about 2 years and have been together longer than they think. So do I let them think I'm crazy?
No.
Or do I tell
Tell
them
them
the
the truth.
truth and ruin my reputation? You know, that kind of deal. Let me know what you think.
No, you're not ruining your reputation because you're two things. Your reputation right now, everyone's seeming to think you're crazy
Yeah.
and they're judging you for it.
But I also like immediately I just start thinking about what we were just talking about, how people judge people not having kids. I imagine all the judgment she's going to get for that. And that's why I'm like, by the way, don't judge your story at all.
No.
I believe in people meeting each other and just something happens, right? Whatever. We don't need to
too.
get into that. But like, she doesn't have to justify it to anybody else. I would just rip the Band-Aid off. Like, hey, we met before I was officially divorced. The other thing is too, when most people are going towards a divorce, by the time you're actually getting divorced, you've been checked out for so long. So like you could, it's not necessarily an affair. Like people from the outside can't be like, you cheated.
Right.
She could have been checked out from that relationship for so long.
Yeah.
You know,
because even like even if you're in the public eye or not, like I know, of course, in the public eye, it's so much different because like in both relationships I was in the public, we were broken up much longer before people knew. We were going through rough times much longer than people knew. And so it's like, but that's so easy for people to judge because I'm like, well, you don't know me. So when it's your closer circle, it's a lot harder because you're like, oh, you matter to me and now you're judging me. But it sounds like they're kind of judging already. So I think you're right. I just think like the truth will always set you free.
Yeah. Well, and people are going to judge no matter what with a situation like that from the get-go. So you might as well rip the Band-Aid off, start telling people like, look, I know what it looks like from the outside, but I've known this man for a really long time. And the thing that's going to change it is you being together for years down the road, when people get to know you as a couple and they see like how in love the two of you are, like it's going to make sense to them. And you, again, you can't live your life for everybody else and their judgment. You know?
really can't. I mean, she didn't. She went and got married. She did it. So I'm proud of you for following your heart.
I love her voice too. I want to like see that.
I know, me too.
She has like a really cool, sexy Southern voice. I like that a lot.
And her name's Beth. I know. It was really sweet. And I just feel like, first of all, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations on your marriage.
That's the part you don't want to forget. I mean, you're kind of in your honeymoon phase right now.
Enjoy that.
We're all allowed to be happy too and like follow what makes us happy. And it's like, it's just such a bummer because we all do worry so much about the judgment from outside.
I know.
But that is the thing that also you have to remember, like judgment like holds so many people back from like true happiness.
Well, and it passes so quick.
Exactly.
So that judgment might be holding you back, but that judgment to them is like a thought and it passes.
Yeah, and they'll get over it.
They'll get over it.
That's why I always say these things. Like when you brought up the celebrity thing, like the way that people judge when celebrities get caught in cheating scandals or whatever. And for me, I'm always like, they were probably in a miserable relationship for 2 years and whatever. But people get over it so fast. I always like say this thing. I'm like, I wish celebrities would stop apologizing or making public apologies because that just makes it worse. We have the worst attention span now. Like even this whole, well, no, I'm not going to go into that. But a lot of times when a celebrity gets in trouble and then they come out with an apology, I'm like, you could have just skipped it because people will forget.
They all forget.
Everyone makes mistakes. We live in this age now where it's like people can't make a mistake. You
what was like the biggest scandal last year in like the celebrity world?
Last year was actually pretty good because I feel like people were kind of taking a break from like doing the whole trying to cancel celebrity things because it was so bad before.
Like what's the one you remember minus like P. Diddy, minus
Blake Lively?
Yeah, Blake Lively. Like before that, we can't even remember.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing.
I know.
And trust me, I love pop culture and I love like.
I know. That's why I asked. I figured you might even.
That is such a good point. I was like mad at myself for not remembering, but that's the point.
Yeah.
You don't remember anything. Like we don't remember any of this stuff because we're all also so consumed with our own lives. At the end of the day, when you like walk, like do you ever walk into somewhere and like you'll get in your head like, is everyone looking at me or whatever? Yeah. Like, and then I have to remind myself, no one gives a what you're doing, Justin.
Literally, no one
like,
gives a
it doesn't matter.
And if they do, they're probably like, wow, he looks great. Like,
or we're not, it's so weird. Like you have to just do what works for you.
I know. I force myself to go to dinners by myself and to movies by myself because I'm like, no one cares, Kaitlyn. No one cares.
Oh, I've never cared what people thought about that. Like when I traveled a lot for work, I loved sitting at the bar by myself.
Oh,
it was my favorite thing in the world.
Same.
And you could just sit on and scroll and like sip your wine or whatever. No one's judging you because you're scrolling your phone but not talking to who you're eating with.
Nothing better.
It's the best thing in the world. It's
one of my favorite things to be by myself out in public, like sitting at a bar.
I love it so much. I used to do the movie theaters all the time. And I haven't done that since I moved to Nashville. In LA, I used to go like once a week by myself.
I just went and saw Wicked by myself.
Shut up.
In 3D. I got a glass of wine. Yeah, everyone's like, shut up. Who's that crazy girl? I'm like, no one cares, Kaitlyn. Singing at the top of my lungs. No, I had the best time. I just sat there with a big bag of popcorn, licorice, a glass of wine, and my little 3D sunnies.
As you get older, this is my favorite thing about getting older is like honestly not giving a I've always kind of been there, like since I was younger. I really haven't like cared a lot.
Yeah.
I don't mind embarrassing myself or what. I don't take myself that seriously. But as I get older, I genuinely just don't care.
I know.
You know, even with like social media and stuff, like even like my siblings will be like, my God, like you share everything on Instagram or you're like, you really go there, whatever. And I don't even think about who's judging it or who's watching it. I just want to make people giggle or I want to get things off my chest.
Well, you're a born entertainer. You are.
Well, we talked about that recently.
Yeah.
But like you cannot live your life worrying what other people think.
No.
Because you'll get on your deathbed and be like, why didn't I do all those fun things?
It's the number one reason. I have interviewed somebody who interviewed hospice nurses. I've watched a lot of things on people who are on their deathbed and what their number one regret is. And without fail, the number one answer that comes up the most is people regret living a life to please other people and not themselves. It's the number one regret on people's deathbed.
Wow.
Whether they're a quick diagnosis and like don't have long to live, or they're 100 years old and on their last days.
So do you think they're saying things like, I wish I would have a bunch of people, or like done more drugs, or like regrets, like experiences and things they wish they would have done? Or-
I think it's like this, like that, like to Beth. Beth probably could have stayed in that marriage, and that would have, you know, and then she would have gotten on her deathbed and said, I should have married the love of my life in Vegas that one time, you know? Like the other girl who might get on her deathbed and she's probably like, I am so grateful I followed my heart to not have children. That was the right decision for me. Like those are examples of not doing that.
Yeah. You know why this is confusing to me is since I was a kid, I've always done what I wanted. And it was like a thing, like I would get shit for it all the time.
Same.
And they were always things like, I knew in my gut when I wanted to, when I dropped out of college, so I was in college, I dropped out after my sophomore year and told my parents I was going to beauty school. My family lost their mind. Like my mom was like sobbing. She's like, what is wrong with you? Like, what are you talking about? You know, but it's like, I knew what I was doing. And like, had I not done it, went to college and got a job that I hated, you know, and
you would have been living a life for somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've always done what I wanted as far as that stuff goes.
I think I have too, but my parents were the opposite. They're like, you go, girl.
They were? That's good.
I didn't even have to try and go to college. Like they were like, you just follow your little heart wherever that leads you.
I don't have resentment towards my parents, but like when I was a kid, I used to beg to be in ballet. I wanted to do ballet. I wanted to do gymnastics. I wanted to be in theater. My parents wouldn't let me. I had to do all sports.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Then when I
Again, it's generational thing too. Yeah.
And I like come from good parents, really fun, good people, but very like conservative background, you know, and it was kind of like, this is what you do next or whatever. And I was always the one that were like trying to bring me back in, you know?
Yeah.
But everything I did for myself, I'm so glad that I did it.
Yeah.
So
See, there you go. You will be one of those on your deathbed. You're going to go, I'm glad I lived a life for me. Okay, here's a confession for you. I used to dread meal planning. I like cooking, but meal planning is a whole different story. And I was always so busy. And honestly, I just couldn't keep up with grocery shopping and cooking. But that all changed when I found Hungry Root. It's honestly so easy, the easiest way to eat healthy without the stress. So what I love about Hungry Root is that they do the hard work for you, which I'm really loving these days. They shop, they plan, they recommend meals based on your taste and health goals. So for me, I love healthy and high protein options. I'm really into that zone right now. I'm sticking to my goals without having to think about it too hard. Plus the recipes are super quick, like 15 minutes or less quick. It's a total game changer for me, especially on busy days. And then the variety is amazing. So every box feels like a little surprise, which is fun. And I love that they tailor to my preferences. So always exactly what I want. Hungry Root has everything I need: smoothies, snacks, ready to eat meals. Everything is fresh, nutritious, and free from junk like preservatives, artificial sweeteners, all that stuff. So you're going to love Hungry Root as much as I do. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. Okay. So for a limited time, you get 40% off your first box. Plus you get a free item in every box for life. How fun for life. Go to hungryroot.com/Vine and use code VINE. That's hungryroot.com/Vine, code VINE to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/Vine, code VINE. Okay, I'm going to put you on to a little something, a hot tip, if you will, from one big wine guy to another. If you are going to drink wine in any amount, a glass, a bottle, you need to be drinking one that's low sugar. High sugar content in wine is the main culprit for hangovers, and a high sugar wine is not good. Nobody's got time for that. So next time the mood strikes for a nice, crisp glass of vino, pick up a bottle of Spade and Sparrows. All 4 varietals are low sugar, made in California, and of course, female founded by yours truly. You can locate your nearest bottle today by visiting spadeandsparrows.com/in-store. All 4 Spade and Sparrows varietals are honestly crowd pleasers. I don't think we've gotten any bad reviews. They're super easy drinking. It's what I drink for wine. And of course, like I said, all low sugar. Find Spade and Sparrows in the wine aisle at Target in Florida, Texas, Georgia, Ohio, Oklahoma, Louisiana, or various other retailers across the U.S., or shop online at spadeandsparrows.com. And of course, my little vino community, you can use code OFFTHEVINE to receive 15% off your first order. Spade and Sparrows, great wine without the rules. What would be your biggest regret?
My biggest regret, I swear, I really don't have any.
I know. I'm trying to think of if, God forbid, something happened to me and they were like, Kaitlyn, you have 10 days to live. I'd be like, I've done it all.
Kaitlyn, do you know that I say that all the time to people? Like, I honestly am like, I feel like I've done so many lifetimes.
Yeah.
Like, I've done everything that I've really wanted. I'm not saying that I want to die tomorrow, but like,
No.
I feel like I've lived so much. but a lot of people don't.
I know.
A lot
I
of people
want to
get
like go like through the camera and be like, do it.
Yeah.
If you want to. Because
Yeah.
again, some people are happy living that life of,
100%. Some
it's-
people, that makes them feel so safe. And
Yeah.
also like there's people who are in their small, same hometown with their high school sweetheart and they are happy as
Yeah.
can be.
And
And
that,
they're
again, is
genuinely
living a
happy.
life for them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you're not, don't feel bad about it. You've got to do what you want to do for you. Like the judgment will go away. People will get over it.
I think that's the best thing to take from this podcast is that how quickly judgment passes from other people. So if you continue to try and please people who literally won't care a year later, what are you doing?
100%. Wow, we really cracked something
Bing,
right
bang,
here.
boom. Have you ever seen 22 Jump Street?
I mean, when I was much younger, the movie or
Yeah.
the show? You know, it started off as a show.
Yes, no, the newer movie.
No, and is it good? Like,
20
was Channing Tatum in it?
Okay, so there's 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street. Yes, Channing Tatum. They're both so funny and so well done. And the second one is like, I never think the second movie is better than the first, except for Home Alone. Shoot me.
Oh my God.
I know, I'm one of
My
those.
favorite movie ever.
Well, Home Alone 1 and 2 is like my favorite movie ever.
We are such Christmas nerds. We were just talking about that before.
I know, I'm like, we were both really depressed.
My dog is Kevin McAllister, and my other dog is Clark Griswold. Like, I'm a Christmas freak.
Well, my Christmas decorations are all still so samesies. But yeah, I'm just like the second movie, 22 Jump Street. I highly recommend.
Do you think Channing Tatum's hot?
Oh, I go back and forth on this all the
We
time.
were just having this conversation the other day with a friend of mine, and I was like, I don't think he's hot.
Okay, so
But I thought he was hot in Magic Mike, right?
see, and I thought he was hot in. I haven't seen Magic Mike. Isn't that crazy? But I think he's hot in 22 Jump Street because he's funny in it.
Oh, okay, but funny makes all the difference. Yeah.
So when he's being funny, I think he's hot. But when I was on Good Morning America after Bachelorette, he was promoting Magic Mike. And so we were in the same like press at like Good Morning America. We were also on Jimmy Fallon the same night, like all these things. And I kept running into him in the most awkward ways. But Good Morning America was like, if you were still single, what is your pickup line at like a bar? How would you pick up a guy? And I'm like, this is what I used to do at the bar in Vancouver. I'd go like looking for a hockey player. I'd be like, he's got a hockey butt. And I would just say, good, and you? And then they'd be like, if they were like, I didn't ask, I'd be like, that was rude. And then I'll like walk away. And then they'll be like,
I'm embarrassed.
this is also like 25-year-old Kaitlyn.
Yeah, but it totally works because like guys, all they need is a girl to make the move. Like,
Oh, especially if you're like making them like, if you make the move and then you're like, well, that was stupid. And then you walk away. They're like, why do I want her?
exactly. Yeah.
And so they were asking, and I said that, and they were like, oh, okay. And then we were walking out, and there's like at Good Morning. Have you ever been to GMA?
Yeah.
Like those massive elevators. He was coming out, and I was going in, and he was like, oh, and I was like, good, and you? And then he was like, what? And I was like, what? And then we all just kept walking, and the camera crew was still following me, and they're like, that was good.
That's funny.
But I was like, that was my pickup line. Anyway, so I think he's hot when he's funny.
Yeah, because to me, he's kind of like a golden retriever. Like kind of he seems like clumsy and kind of like funny to me. So yeah, when he's funny, I think it's cute.
Yeah.
When people talk about him being like a hot, sexy guy, I'm like, I don't really see it. The funny thing I get.
Yeah, watch 22 Jump Street and then message me later and then be like,
gonna
oh,
watch
okay,
it.
he is hot. Well, who's your type? Like celebrity crush?
I mean, so do you remember the first Rocky? Or not the first Rocky. Remember the blonde boxer guy in Rocky?
Oh my God, like Rocky loves Emily.
No,
That
no,
one or
Rocky the movie, like with
the actual
Sylvester
Rocky.
Stallone.
Oh.
Why am I blanking on his name right now? You guys are going to remember it. Oh, right in blonde boxer Rocky. Oh my God, he literally when he's young, and you're gonna see a picture of when he's younger, and he looks like Scoot.
No,
and when I was a
really?
kid, I was obsessed with this guy in this movie. Yes, look at it. Wait, what is his name?
That is Scoot.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that was literally my crush when I was a kid. I was obsessed with that guy.
Justin, that's Scoot.
Yeah, it looks like exactly like Scoot.
That's literally Scoot's exact face.
Yeah, so like I have a very specific type.
That is so funny.
And, yeah, when I was a kid, I was like obsessed with that guy, and then he looks like Scoot.
Oh my God, I've gone through like so many different crushes in my life, like all different shapes, sizes, race, like everything. I will have different crushes. And in my last like 10 years, it's been just consistently Paul Rudd.
Oh, he's so cute. Though. It's the funny thing, though.
It is
people
the funny
who
thing.
don't take themselves so seriously. I mean, that makes
You're
all the
right.
difference.
It is the funny
I'm kind of the
thing.
same too. When I was a kid, like I didn't know I was gay, but I had posters of Michael Jordan everywhere because I was in love with him. Like I wanted him to be my husband. But my parents were like, "Oh, Justin's like really into basketball."
You're like, sports.
Yeah, go sports. I didn't even know what team he played for, but it was like I had posters of Michael Jordan all over because nobody would know. They'd be like, "Oh, he's really into basketball," but it was because I loved Michael Jordan.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I totally loved Michael Jordan too.
He was so hot.
So hot.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And like that time in like
That is
American
so funny.
history was like when the Chicago Bulls were really good.
Oh, yeah.
The Chicago Bears was like the most amazing football team. My uncle played for the Chicago Bears at that
Really?
time. So we'd always go to Chicago.
Fun.
And it was like that time in American history. I mean, I'd never want to go backwards.
I was going to
but
say,
like,
can we go back? And then I thought, actually, probably not.
No. I think, but we love nostalgia or like
Yes,
look, like
love.
I love those kind of memories. I never want to go back for many reasons.
True.
But there were times that really stand out to me, and that was such a great time.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
the Bart Simpson, like just life was simple. All we were just entertained.
It's because we didn't know any better, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where social media has messed things up. It's brought so many people together, which is good, but I just feel like we know too much.
I know. We do.
And we're reading too many other people's shitty comments.
Yeah.
Then that gets in our head.
And then we're living in a sad world when we're not looking for the beauty.
Exactly. Exactly.
Go follow Spencer Pratt. Go find the joy in the world and follow Spencer Pratt. I'm Kaitlyn Bristowe.
Bye, you guys.
Bye, everybody.
I'm Kaitlyn Bristowe. Your session is now ending. And if I'm being honest, I wouldn't mind a rating and review.